Camilla Lewis never imagined that the worst mistake of her life would happen in a seven-star hotel spa, naked, submerged in rose petals, in a pool that wasn't hers. She had been in Dubai for 3 months. 3 months of scrubbing marble floors that reflected a luxury she would never touch. 3 months of swallowing homesickness with every dirham she sent back to Houston, where Luke struggled with university dreams and Julia danced ballet in shoes held together with duct tape. Her mother's voice still echoed in her mind. "Take care of them, Cammy. Promise me." She had promised, and she had kept that promise by cleaning toilets, polishing mirrors, and disappearing into the invisible labor that kept places like this gleaming. Then Mrs. Beatrice, a Brazilian-American guest with kind eyes and a gold bracelet that clinked softly, handed her a golden envelope. "You work too hard, honey. Go relax for a bit." Camilla stared at the voucher like it was a winning lottery ticket. A spa treatment. Her, a maid. She walked into the spa reception with her heart racing, clutching the envelope like a passport to another world. The receptionist, a young woman with broken English and a distracted smile, pointed down the hall. "Left corridor, last door." There were 2 corridors to the left. Camilla chose wrong. She opened the door and stepped into silence. Rose petals floated on warm water. Steam carried the scent of sandalwood and jasmine. Soft light filtered through carved stone screens. She thought, this must be it. She slipped off her robe, folded it carefully on the bench, and stepped into the water. It was warm, perfect. She closed her eyes and let her body sink. For the first time in years, she breathed, until a firm male voice cut through the air behind her. "Who are you, and what are you doing in my private pool?" Camilla's eyes snapped open. She sank to her chin, heart hammering, and turned toward the door. A man stood there. Tall, dark robe, sharp jawline, eyes like black stone. He didn't yell. He didn't call security. He just stood there, arms crossed, waiting for an answer. Camilla stammered, I'm sorry, there were 2 doors. The receptionist said left. I have a voucher. You didn't mean to break into my private suite?" "I didn't know it was private. I swear, Her voice cracked. "Please don't call security. I'll leave. I'm sorry." He studied her, not with anger, with something sharper, curiosity. "You're American?" "Yes." "You work here?" It wasn't a question. "Yes." He exhaled slowly, then did something she didn't expect. He smiled. Not kindly, but not cruelly either. "Get out of the water. We need to talk." Camilla wrapped herself in the robe so fast she nearly tripped. Her hands shook as she tied the belt. She kept her eyes down, terrified, humiliated, waiting for the inevitable. Deportation, firing, worse. But he didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He just gestured toward the stone bench and said, "Sit." She sat. He didn't. He stood in front of her, arms still crossed, studying her like she was a puzzle he hadn't decided whether to solve or discard. "What's your name?" "Camilla Lewis." "Where are you from?" "Houston, Texas." "How long have you been in Dubai?" 3 months. "And you're here because—" She swallowed. "I send money home, my brother and sister. I'm the oldest." His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or pity. "You realize this is a private suite, right? Reserved for family, no vouchers, no guests." "I didn't know, I swear." He exhaled again, then glanced at his watch. Gold. Expensive. The kind that cost more than her entire year's salary. "I have an event tonight," he said. "A charity gala. Very public. Very strategic." Camilla blinked. "Okay. My ex-fiancé will be there. Amira Al-Mazrui, daughter of one of the most influential families in the Emirates. She spent the last 6 months trying to rekindle our relationship in front of every camera in this city." Camilla had no idea why he was telling her this. "I need someone by my side tonight," he continued. "Someone who will make it clear I've moved on." Her stomach dropped. "You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend? Date, just for the evening. Why me? Because you're not part of this world. You're not trying to climb into my bed or my bank account. You're just a woman who made a mistake and walked into the wrong room." She stared at him. "That's insane." "Is it?" "Yes." He stepped closer. His voice dropped. "If you say no, I'll call security. They'll investigate. Your employer will be notified. You'll lose your visa. Camilla's breath caught. He wasn't threatening. He was stating facts. But if you say yes, he continued, I'll forget this ever happened. You'll spend one evening in a dress that costs more than your rent. You'll eat food you've never tasted. And tomorrow, you'll go back to your life. Clean slate. She wanted to say no. She wanted to walk out. But she thought of Luke, of Julia, of the money they needed. One condition, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. He raised an eyebrow. You're negotiating? Tell me first if I'm about to embarrass myself. For the first time, he smiled. Really smiled. Deal. He extended his hand. She took it. I'm Khalid, he said. Khalid al-Nawari. She didn't know who that was. But by the end of the night, the entire world would. At 5 p.m., Camilla's cramped staff room became a dressing suite. Sophie, Khalid's British assistant, arrived with 3 garment bags, a makeup artist, a hairstylist, and a calm efficiency that made Camilla feel like she was being prepped for surgery. Don't worry, Sophie said, setting down a leather case filled with jewelry. We're not changing you. We're just making you shine. The dresses were laid out on her narrow bed. One was silver, shimmering like water. One was black, elegant and severe. The third was emerald green, with a neckline that was daring but not desperate. Camilla touched the green fabric. This one. Sophie smiled. Good instincts. The makeup artist worked quietly, brushing bronze onto her cheekbones, lining her eyes with soft charcoal, painting her lips a deep rose. The hairstylist didn't straighten her curls. She enhanced them, letting them fall in wild, elegant waves over her shoulders. When Camilla looked in the mirror, she didn't recognize herself. Not because she looked fake, but because she looked like someone who belonged. Sophie handed her a pair of gold heels. Can you walk in these? I've worked double shifts in sneakers. I can handle heels. Sophie grinned. You'll do just fine. In the limousine, Sophie gave her a crash course in etiquette. Don't ask personal questions. Don't talk about politics. Don't refuse food. Just taste it. If someone speaks to you in Arabic, smile and say, Shukran. It means thank you. Shukran, Camilla repeated. Perfect. And one more thing. Sophie's tone softened. Khalid's a good man. But tonight, everyone will be watching, judging. Don't let them make you feel small. Camilla nodded, though her hands were trembling. When the limousine pulled up to the venue, she saw the cameras. Hundreds of them, flashing like stars. Khalid was waiting at the entrance, dressed in a tailored black suit that made him look like he'd been carved from marble. When he saw her step out of the car, he stopped mid-sentence, mid-breath, ready to make someone jealous. He said, offering his arm. She took it. Let's find out. They walked into the golden ballroom together. The room fell silent. Not completely, but enough. Enough for Camilla to feel the weight of 100 eyes turning toward her. Enough for whispers to ripple through the crowd like wind through grass. And then, cutting through the silence like a blade, came a voice. How interesting to see you. Accompanied. Amira al-Mazrui stood 10 feet away, dressed in a red gown that clung to her like armor. Her smile was sharp, her eyes sharper. She looked at Khalid, then at Camilla, then back at Khalid. I didn't know you were bringing a guest, Amira said sweetly. Camilla remembered Sophie's advice. Don't let them make you feel small. She smiled. Sometimes, interesting is what makes a night worth it. Khalid almost laughed out loud. Amira's smile didn't falter, but her eyes did. The evening unfolded like a dream Camilla wasn't sure she'd wake from. Khalid introduced her simply. This is Camilla from the United States. No title, no fabricated backstory, just her name, just the truth. It broke protocol. She saw it in the way diplomats paused mid-handshake, in the way executives exchanged glances, in the way Amira's jaw tightened. But Khalid didn't flinch. They moved through the ballroom like a current. He spoke to ministers, investors, sheikhs. She stood beside him, quiet but present. When someone asked her a question, she answered honestly. What do you do? I work at the hotel. In what capacity? Housekeeping. The word landed like a stone in water. Ripples, silence, then surprisingly, respect. One woman, an older Emirati philanthropist, touched Camilla's hand. Then you understand work. Real work. Welcome. Later, on the terrace, away from the crowd, Khalid handed her a glass of sparkling water. You didn't have to tell them the truth, he said. Why wouldn't I? Because most people would lie. I'm not most people. He studied her, the city lights reflecting in his dark eyes. No, you're not. For a moment, they stood in silence. The kind of silence that wasn't empty. That was full of things neither of them knew how to say. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His expression shifted, hardened. My father, he said quietly. He answered. Camilla watched his face change, calm to tense to something close to fury. He spoke in Arabic, low and clipped. She didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. Anger, disappointment, pressure. When he hung up, he didn't look at her. He saw the photos, Khalid said. We're all over social media. He wants to see me tomorrow. Says tonight was an insult to the family. He wants me back with Amira. Camilla's heart sank. I'm sorry. Don't be. You didn't do anything wrong. But You didn't do anything wrong, he repeated, his voice firm. This is my choice, my life. But she could see the weight of it pressing down on him. The burden of tradition, of expectation, of a life that wasn't his own. I should go, she said softly. Camilla, thank you for tonight. It was more than I ever expected. She turned to leave. He caught her hand. Wait. She stopped. He didn't let go. You made this night bearable, he said. More than bearable. You made it real. She wanted to say something, anything, but her throat was tight. He released her hand. She walked away, through the glittering crowd, past the cameras, into the night. Back in her dorm, she cried. Not because of the humiliation, not because of the fear, but because for one night, she had felt like she belonged. And now, she knew it was over. 3 days passed like fog. Camilla scrubbed floors, folded towels, carried trays. She didn't see Khalid, didn't hear from him, didn't expect to. It was just a night, a beautiful, impossible night. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Ms. Lewis, Mr. Khalid requests your presence at noon tomorrow. Panoramic restaurant, top floor. Rashid will meet you in the lobby. Her hands shook. The next day, she wore her cleanest shirt, her only pair of nice jeans. She felt like a child playing dress-up. Rashid, Khalid's assistant, was waiting. He was polite, professional. He led her to the private elevator, the one guests like her never used. The restaurant was glass and sky. The city stretched out below like a jeweled tapestry. Khalid sat at a corner table, alone. He looked tired, the kind of tired that didn't come from lack of sleep, but from carrying too much weight for too long. When he saw her, he stood. Thank you for coming. She sat. Why did you ask me here? He didn't answer right away. He poured her tea. Herbal. Fragrant. I've spent the last 3 days in meetings, he said. With my father, with Amira's family, with lawyers, advisors, people who think they know what's best for me. And they all said the same thing, that the gala was a mistake, that you were a mistake, that I need to go back to the plan, marry Amira, secure the alliance, live the life they designed. Camilla's chest tightened. Then why am I here? He looked at her, really looked at her. Because I don't want to live that life anymore. The words hung in the air. I should have left it as a memory, he continued. But I can't. You've become my balance. You remind me that there's more to life than contracts and expectations. You remind me that I'm still human. Khalid, I told my father no. I told Amira no. I told everyone no. Camilla's breath caught. What did they say? My father called it betrayal. Amira spread rumors. Said you were a gold digger, that I'd lost my mind. Maybe you have. He smiled. Sad, real, maybe. But my grandfather, he continued, said something I'll never forget. He said, a man without love lives with half a soul. Tears pricked Camilla's eyes. I don't know what this is, Khalid said. I don't know where it goes, but I know I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose you. She reached across the table, took his hand. You don't even know me. Then let me. For the first time in days, she smiled. Okay. They spent the afternoon talking, not about money or status or family, about dreams, about fear, about the small, fragile things that made them human. He told her about his mother, who loved poetry, about his grandfather, who taught him chess, about the pressure of being the heir to an empire he never asked for. She told him about Luke's coding obsession, about Julia's ballet recitals, about her mother's last words. And somewhere between tea and sunset, something shifted. It wasn't just attraction. It wasn't just gratitude. It was recognition. Two people, two worlds, one truth. They were no longer pretending. The weeks that followed were a war fought in whispers. Khalid's father, Nawaf al-Nawari, refused to acknowledge Camilla's existence. He sent lawyers, advisors, family friends, all with the same message: end this before it destroys everything. Amira launched a campaign of her own. She gave interviews, posted photos of her and Khalid from years past, spoke to journalists about unfortunate distractions and temporary lapses in judgment. Camilla ignored it, mostly, but the pressure was real. The hotel staff whispered, some with pity, some with envy, some with contempt. One morning, her supervisor, a sharp-eyed woman named Mrs. Hala, called her into the office. "You're causing problems," she said flatly. "I'm just doing my job. Your job is to clean, not to make headlines." Camilla met her gaze. "I didn't ask for this." "No, but you're here anyway, and management is worried. They don't want drama. They don't want attention. Are you firing me?" Mrs. Hala paused, sighed. "No, but I'm warning you. Be careful. People like us don't survive scandals." Camilla nodded, but she didn't apologize. That evening, Khalid picked her up from the staff entrance, not in a limousine, in a simple black car, no driver, just him. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere quiet." He drove them out of the city, into the desert. The sun was setting, painting the dunes gold and amber. They parked near a cluster of palm trees, where a small oasis shimmered in the fading light. They walked in silence. Then Khalid spoke. "My mother wants to meet you." Camilla stopped. "What?" she asked 3 times. I finally said yes. "Khalid, she's not like my father. She doesn't care about bloodlines or alliances. She cares about people, about truth. What if she hates me?" "She won't." "How do you know?" He turned to her, his expression soft. "Because I don't." The meeting happened 2 days later, in a private garden behind high walls. Khalid's mother, Layla al-Nawari, was elegant, gray streaks in her dark hair, eyes that held both strength and sorrow. She greeted Camilla in English. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me." They sat beneath a canopy of jasmine. Tea was poured. Khalid stood nearby, tense. Layla studied Camilla, not coldly, carefully. "My son tells me you work at the hotel." "Yes." "And that you come from Houston?" "Yes." "And that you have siblings you support?" "Yes." Layla nodded. "Then you understand sacrifice." Camilla's throat tightened. "I do." "So do I." Layla glanced at Khalid. "I married into this family. I know what it costs to love someone the world says you shouldn't." Khalid's eyes widened. Layla turned back to Camilla. "Do you love my son?" The question hung in the air. Camilla wanted to lie, to deflect, but she didn't. "I think I'm starting to." Layla smiled, small, sad, real. "Then don't let them take that from you." The turning point came on a Thursday afternoon. Luke called. His voice was shaking. "Cammy, I messed up." Her heart dropped. "What happened?" "I took a gig, delivering packages on my bike. I needed the money, but I crashed. The bike's totaled. The guy's threatening to sue. I don't know what to do." Camilla closed her eyes. "How much?" $3,000. She didn't have $3,000. She hung up, sat on her bed, stared at the wall. Then Khalid called. "Are you okay?" She told him, all of it. He didn't hesitate. "I'll handle it." "No." "Camilla, no. I don't want your money. I don't want to be the girl who needs saving. It's not about saving you. It's about helping someone I care about. Khalid, if you pay for this, everyone will say I'm using you. That I'm exactly what Amira says I am. I don't care what they say." "I do." Silence. Then he said quietly, "What if it's anonymous?" She paused. "What?" What if Luke never knows? What if it's just a bike repair fund? A donor who heard his story. No names, no connections. She wanted to say no, but she thought of Luke, of his dreams, of the future she was fighting for. Okay, she whispered. 2 days later, Luke called again. Ecstatic. Cammy, someone paid for everything. The bike, the damages, everything. They said it was a community fund. I don't know who, but thank God, you know? She smiled through tears. Yeah, thank God. That evening, Khalid took her to the rooftop garden of his family estate. The city glittered below, stars above. Thank you, she said. For what? For seeing me. Not as a problem, not as a project, just me. He stepped closer. That's all I've ever seen. He kissed her. Soft, slow, like a promise. When they pulled apart, she whispered, I'm scared. Of what? Of this ending. Of waking up. Then don't wake up. She laughed. It doesn't work that way. Why not? Because you're you, and I'm me, and the world doesn't let people like us be together. Then we change the world. She looked at him. You really believe that? I have to. And in that moment, under the stars, she believed it too. But belief and reality are different things, and reality was about to crash down. The scandal broke on a Sunday. A tabloid published an exposé. Photos of Camilla at work, interviews with anonymous staff, claims she had seduced Khalid for money. None of it was true. All of it spread like fire. Camilla stopped leaving her room. Khalid showed up at her door. We're going to fix this, he said. How? By telling the truth. He called a press conference against his father's wishes. He stood in front of cameras and said, Camilla Lewis is not a scandal. She's a woman of integrity, strength, and grace, and I'm in love with her. The room erupted. He continued, I will not stand by while someone I care about is slandered. Camilla watched from the back, tears streaming down her face. Amira responded on national television. Khalid is confused. He's throwing away his future for a woman who doesn't belong. But Khalid's grandfather gave his own interview. My grandson chooses love over obligation. That is not weakness. That is courage. The tide began to turn. Khalid's mother supported him quietly. Friends rallied. But Nawaf remained silent. Until one evening he showed up at Khalid's office. Camilla was there. Nawaf looked at his son. You're making a mistake. Maybe. You'll lose everything. Khalid met his gaze. No, father. I almost lost everything. I'm not letting that happen again. Nawaf turned to Camilla. Do you love my son? Yes. Do you understand what you're asking him to give up? Yes. And you think you're worth it? Camilla met his eyes. I think love is. And I think your son deserves to live a life that's his own. Nawaf stared at her, then left without another word. Khalid took her hand. Then we build our own family. 3 weeks later, Khalid knelt in the staff wing where it all began. Camilla Lewis, will you marry me? She laughed and cried. Yes. On one condition. Anything. I keep studying. I keep sending money to my siblings. And I keep being me. That's exactly why I'm asking. The wedding was a collision of worlds. They held it in the family gardens. Red roses floated in fountains, a nod to the pool where everything began. Arabic music blended with soft Latin beats. Camilla wore a dress that honored both traditions, simple and elegant. Luke and Julia flew in. Julia cried through the entire ceremony. Khalid's mother stood beside him, proud. His grandfather sat in the front row, smiling. His father arrived late. He didn't speak, didn't smile, but he was there. Amira watched from outside the gates, not invited, unable to look away. The vows were bilingual. When Camilla attempted Arabic, stumbling over the words, everyone laughed warmly. When Khalid kissed her, the garden erupted in applause. Sheikh Omar gave a speech. My grandson taught me that tradition is not a prison. It is a foundation. Khalid chose love, and in doing so, he chose life. Nawaf didn't speak, but when they danced, he watched. Something softened in his eyes. Later, Camilla found him on the terrace. Thank you for coming. He didn't look at her. I didn't do it for you. I know. Silence. Then quietly, take care of him. I will. He nodded and walked away. Not forgiveness, but a beginning. As fireworks lit the sky, Khalid and Camilla stood together. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Not for a second." "What happens now?" He smiled. "We live." 6 months later, Camilla stood in a nursing school classroom, not as a maid, as a student. She had enrolled through a scholarship Khalid's foundation provided to workers seeking education. She was learning, growing, becoming. Luke transferred to a university in Dubai, earning his place on merit. Julia came during breaks, taking ballet classes and thriving. Camilla continued advocating for hotel staff, better wages, housing, respect. Khalid supported her with influence, not money. Slowly, things changed. One evening, Khalid found her on the balcony watching the city lights. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "How strange life is. 6 months ago, I was scrubbing floors. Now I'm here, living a life I didn't think I deserved. You always deserved it. Do you ever miss the old life?" He smiled. "That life was easy, but it wasn't mine." She kissed him. "Thank you for choosing me. You chose me too." They stood together, the world stretching before them. Not perfect, but real. Because love was not about finding someone who fit into your world. It was about building a world where both of you could breathe. Amira eventually married a diplomat. Nawaf attended family dinners and once said thank you when Camilla brought him tea. Khalid's mother became Camilla's closest ally. And Khalid was finally free. Free to love, free to choose, free to live. Years later, when Julia asked how it all began, Camilla laughed. "I walked into the wrong room. And it turned out to be exactly where I was supposed to be. Because sometimes the most absurd mistake, a wrong door, a wrong turn, changes your life forever." Camilla Lewis learned she was never invisible. She had always been seen. She just needed to see herself. And when she did, the world opened up. Not because of wealth or status, but because of love. The kind that doesn't ask permission. The kind that says, "You belong." Not in spite of who you are, but because of it.